Okay, we'll continue our discussion on that multi-tenant concept. See, one thing new happened from SPS 2 onwards, 2.0 SPS 2 onwards. So, which you can clearly see is now you don't have single container option there anymore. In fact, it doesn't ask you whether you want to install single container or multi-container. So, let us see that installation. It's actually SPS 2. Same procedure, installation procedure is same. I'm giving SID say MCD, this instance number. Actually, here it's supposed to ask whether you want to install a single container or multi-container. So what you can observe there is, actually you should ask before this system usage. It's not asking for that. So what happens in these versions, SPS 2 onwards, in fact SPS 1 itself, default it will install multi-container only. If you want to use it as single container, use it. But if you want to just add some more tenant databases, you'll be able to do it very easily here. Because earlier versions, suppose you did an installation of single container, and then later on you want to have some more additional databases, that's not possible there. First you need to do a conversion of single to multi. That is possible. You can convert single container to multi container, and then only we will be able to add one more database. But that will demands this downtime. So, but in the new versions now, default it's installed as multi-tenant. So you want to use it as single container, use it. But when as and when you need some additional database without any downtime, you'll be able to add those additional databases. That's the specialty you have. So that's why SAP has came up with this multi-tenant concept. So as default, it's installed as a multi-tenant. The difference between the previous versions and this one. In the previous versions, when you're choosing that multi-tenant and installing it, you're able to create a system DB. And then after installing system DB, you are creating tenant databases using that SQL statement what I shown you. So there definitely system DB SID and tenant database names will give separately. But here, at the time of installation itself, without asking for anything, directly multi-tenant is created. So that's why here your system DB as well as tenant database names both are same. The system DB and the first tenant database. And there onwards, what are the tenant databases you create, you can give your own database name. So that's another thing which you should differentiate. Say it's HANA database system, instance created, it's starting, I'll show you how to create tenant databases from HANA Cockpit. I think the other day I shown you how to do it using SQL statement. You can also do it using HANA Cockpit. I'll register that database also. First, I'm adding system DB here. We'll add it to some group. It's almost complete. Yeah, that's done. And what you can see is you have two databases. It's not two tenant, one system DB, one tenant database. That's what you can observe there. This is tenant. This is system DB. That's why I told you it's default creating multi-tenant. And you want to create one more tenant database, on the right bottom corner you can see the dots we have. So just click on create tenant, give tenant database name, anything like this, and the system user password. So tenant database is successfully created. You can register it now. there. Separate administrations you want to do in Cockpit Admin, you'll be able to do that. Cockpit Manager. And when you're creating new tenant database, you don't need to start it. It starts automatically. So it's starting automatically. And every tenant database separately you add it to the Cockpit using Cockpit Manager. See, the one system DB, two tenant databases we have. We can also do the same from here. So I'm adding those systems here. Everything, system DB as well as tenant database I'm adding. First tenant database is same as ID. Okay, if you look at the system DB services, you don't find any index server, no access engine. Whereas this one, you'll find index server as well as access engine. But this one, the newly created one, index server, no access engine. Reason is, whenever you create a new tenant database, remember that access engine is embedded into index server. You're creating it, not the one which we install. Installation when you're doing, it comes default that is having separate access engine. like that. That's a difference you can make very easily. And then you treat these tenant databases as usual, normal databases only for you. There's nothing special in that. But only thing is when you're speaking about backups, recoveries and all that, that should be done by using systemdb. Directly, you can't do it here. Now, if I right click on this tenant database backup recovery, I don't have that option. Even if you double click on it, go to the backup console, no configuration option here, no wizards. But so when you want to do it from here, from the systemdb, the systemdb and two tenant databases you have. This is systemdb. If you click on manage database backups, if you try to create a backup, you don't have any option to choose anything like which database is that. It's only systemdb backup you're taking here, only systemdb. And tenant databases you cannot do it from here. HANA Studio, we need to add those databases separately, tenant databases, like the same way as we registered the systemdb. And then once you select the database, it will give you options to take a backup from there. So that difference is also very important for you. Tenant database, suppose if I'm connecting to DB2, so now you have DB2. If you select DB2, so that tenant database backup you can take separately. In HANA Studio, everything you should do it by using systemdb. Manage database backups. So here if you create the backup, this backup is for this tenant database like that. See that db underscore db2 is what you need to understand. So when you take the backups, you need to take the backups for all. You need to take the backup for systemdb. You need to take the backup for tenant databases. So go to backup. There is an option, see, backup systemdb. Just click on that and take the backup. Options will be same: complete, incremental, differential. All those options are same. Except that destination, if you see, a subfolder is there, systemdb, exclusively for this. If you see systemdb, it's only name server. And you take tenant database, only index server. But if it is installed one, index server access engine will be there. Created one, only index server, no access engine. So that's completed. That's only a system DB backup you're taking. And if you just double click here backup, when you are in the system DB, it will show you everything. System DB backups, tenant database backups. Like this. Now you want to take a tenant database backup. Like you want to take a backup of MCD, you just click on backup tenant database. I'm taking this tenant database for which you have two services, Access Engine and Index Server. But so now tenant database MCD is also having a backup like this. Or else, as I mentioned, you want to take it from here, do what? Create backup. Same options, complete, incremental, and all that. So that's completed. No, it doesn't matter from where you take it, that will be reflected. Like so, you don't see that differently. All the actions, like you want to create user security, all that, it's just a normal process. Same procedure you can follow even for recovery also. It's nothing different. You should do it using system DB. But always remember one thing, system DB must be up and running, only then you'll be able to access the tenant databases. So don't forget. One tenant database you want to stop, you can stop it. Okay, let us see. See, if I right click on this system DB, I have start top option, but if you right click on tenant databases, you don't have start stop option here. And if you want to do it from that cockpit, you're able to do it. I've shown you already there. When you go to the systems, it's showing you tenant database can be started and stopped. Okay, in case if you want to do it here, just simple SQL statement I'll give you, follow that. Open SQL console here. So I want to stop DB2. I'll just execute this statement. Only DB2 will be stopped. It's done. Now DB2 is no more accessible to you. But you're able to access that other database, other tenant database. Okay. Alter system, stop database, start database. Those statements you can use, commands. Just like how create database, you have drop database also works. Same. Now you want to do a recovery without affecting this database MCD. You want to recover DB2, you can do it. Just right click, go to backup recovery. You click on recover tenant database. DB2 you want to recover, select that only. And whichever the recovery option you want to choose it. Snapshots are not supported here. So now actually it will give you a message saying that it must be offline. Okay, we continue. Selecting the complete data backup. So I'm selecting that backup, checking the availability. It's available in the original location. Click on next. Log backups path. Finish. It's having only index server there. That's it. The recovery will be complete. And while that recovery is happening, still you are able to access this other database, like this one. You'll be able to access it. No problem. So all those three phases you can do. Look into that data recovery, log recovery. So that's completed. So all other activities are same. And one more thing, Now another question comes into picture is it possible to have resources allocated for these databases? Yes, you can do it. So what in fact the significance of this? You'll be able to allocate resources separately for each tenant database. Each tenant database separate. That's a flexibility here. So if you want to allocate the resources, you have something called allocation limit. Just go to the respective tenant database. Go to configuration tab. So here you can give that global allocation limits. You can specify memory manager. That is for specifying the memory. Similarly, you have another parameter called max underscore concurrency. So this max concurrency here, this execution will specify the processor CPU cores. That also we can limit. So these are the two parameters we can set to restrict the utilization of the resources by that specific tenant database. So those are the things we have. And if you want to convert a single container to a multi-tenant database, a pretty simple procedure. If you go to lifecycle management, there is a conversion facility for you. Just use that option and convert it. I'll show you the procedure. It's not needed now in the new versions. Conversion is no more required when you're working with SPS2. So this database is a single container. If you go to lifecycle management, platform lifecycle management, platform lifecycle management mostly for offline activities, so use SID. So here you can see that convert to multi-tenant database containers. Click on that. Just simple details, SID ADM password. And now when a single container is converted into multi-container, whatever that single container database you have, that will be treated as a tenant database. And now one system DB will be created. And that system DB needs a system user password. Enter that new password, whatever you want to give for the system DB system user. And just click on next and run that. And remember that this is an irreversible process. It's permanent. You can't reverse it. Once you convert single to multi, that's it. Can't convert it back to single container. So if you want to perform that and just click on run, that will be done in few minutes. But conversion of the single to multi needs a database need to be restarted. You need a downtime for that. So just to avoid that now, new versions default it's installed as a multi-tenant. So that's the concept of multi-tenants. So all these things already there in the document, that PDF document I already placed in the Dropbox. You can refer to that one. So if I'm stopping this, systemdb itself I'm stopping. One difficulty is also there. If you have to look at the versions, you need to update everything. You can't say that I'll update only DB1, I'll update only DB2 like that. Everything you need to update. So all those databases needs downtime at that situation. So no more you can access your tenant databases. See? Same case with other one also. Okay, so that's the concept, multi-containers.